Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be looking at Mr. Seagull's geography adventures, Environment and Greta. So my name is Bobby Seagull. I'm a school maths teacher, author of the Monkman and Seagull quiz book, as well as the life-changing magic of numbers about how maths changed my life, and also a presenter for the BBC TV series Monkman and Seagull's Genius Guide. I'm so delighted to be involved with Home Festival with Karen, Oti, Marius, David, and they're creating this amazing festival of programs for you to keep you engaged, entertained, and your brains ticking over. So, before we start in our first session, I'm going to go and just have a quick look to see where we are. So I'm going to, on my Instagram, so I'm at Bobby_Seagull on Twitter and Instagram. Let's have a look. So this is the schedule for today. At 11:30 we have Oti Marius family dance class. Going to be brilliant. Then Katya Jones on upcycling. And Katya, if you're watching, I'm so excited by your session because some of my messages about the environment about things like reuse, recycle, upcycling. So that's going to be a great session. Then at 3 o'clock we've got Bryony Blake with her makeup tutorial. Then Karen, stretch and flow at 6. Then Emma Barton reading Matilda at 7, a lovely book. Then James Bennett with Musical Theatre. And Neil Jones, our isolation quizmaster, at 8:15. Okay, so on Instagram I posted a puzzle. So actually on Radio 4 on Monday I had a puzzle that went out on BBC to like up to 7 million people. And the puzzle was, it's on my Instagram at Bobby_Seagull, Twitter as well. It says Oti and Karen have been running Home Festival, where they run online activities with the family. In a baking session, dancer Katie Priest spends 4 times as long baking cookies as she does tidying up in an hour-long Instagram. So she spends 4 times as long baking cookies as she does tidying up in an hour-long Instagram live. So how long does Katie spend baking the cookies? And can you submit your answers to me at Bobby_Seagull, again on Twitter or Instagram. I had a couple of submissions so far, and the winning one by next Tuesday, I will give them a prize copy of Monkman and Seagull's, actually this one, The Life-Changing Magic of Numbers, my book. There we go. Okay, so a few shout outs. So normally I do homework. So it's Mr. Seagull's do, draw or dance. And let me have a look here. Let me have a look here to see what the task is. So these are, so on Instagram you can't see it, but you'd have to take my word for this. So we had Oscar producing an amazing poster of Henry VIII. Really wonderful. Then we had Uma Shah, congratulations on a wonderful poster explaining what we learned about China. Then we had Francesca Isla-Elland. Francesca's been wonderful because every session Francesca's been submitting her dances to me, and we can see all the Tudor dance, the China dance, and she also did a poster about Henry VIII. So please do send in your homework and I'll shout out the best ones. So congratulations Oscar, Uma and Francesca, you're all brilliant, as are the rest of my audience. Okay. So now it's time to tell you about today's session. And I'll be honest, for me, I'm so passionate about environment as a school teacher because my students are passionate about it, I'm passionate, and all of us should be. So today's session is called Mr. Seagull's Geography Adventures, Environment and Greta Thunberg. Firstly, we're going to look at the world in 50 years. What's going to happen? Then I'm going to equip you with the science that you need to understand climate change. So I want you to feel confident and explain to people what is going on. Then I'll show you a BBC interview from about 1.5 years ago where I discussed climate change. Then we'll look at who is Greta, why is she, what she's for. Then, you know it's time, Mr. Seagull's terrible at dancing, but we're going to do an earth dance and I can't wait to share that with you. Then we'll look at what can we do about this, climate change is happening, what can we do to help make things better. Then normally at the end of every class we have the same structure. We've got homework with Bobby, so it's do, draw, dance. Then it's quiz with Bobby, 3 questions to test if you've been listening, if your brains have been active in my session. And then finally, thoughts of Mr. Seagull, We think positively about what we are about and how we can make an impact. And they will really help you throughout your day. Okay, we're going to get cracking. I've gone too far forward. Okay, so who remembers Back to the Future? Who remembers Back to the Future? I love Back to the Future. And in Back to the Future, they have a DeLorean car. DeLorean DMC. So what we're going to do is, we're going to go 50 years into the future. Are you ready to come on a journey with me? Are you ready to come on a journey with me? So, I'm going to get my glasses on because it's quite fast. Doc Brown says it's quite, it's going to be, you're all ready to go on a journey, okay? So, I'm going to get on the accelerator. We're going to get to 88 miles an hour. We're at 50. We're at 55. We're at 60. We're at 70. We're at 80. We're at 85. Come on, Doc. Come on, Doc. 88 miles an hour. 1.21 gigawatts. Whoa. Whoa. We are now in 2070. We are now in 2070. We've moved forward 50 years in the future. But it's not good news. It's not good news. I'm here in the UK. I'm looking at the world. I'm going to tell you what's happening with the world. We've had shifting weather patterns that threaten our food production. We have rising sea levels that increase the risk of catastrophic flooding. The impacts of climate change are global in scope and they're just unprecedented. We have more Australian wildfires, more Bangladeshi flooding. We've got in England, Cornwall, more floods as well every year in Yorkshire. This is the world in 2070. And climate change has changed the world beyond recognition. And this is scary. Climate change is the defining issue of our time. And we are at a defining moment in that period. Without drastic action today and tomorrow, adapting to these impacts in the future is going to be really difficult and costly. And in 2070, I'm telling you now, it's not looking great. When you have a pair of shoes and they get worn out, you go and buy a new one. If your washing machine is broken, you go and repair it. But you damage our earth. We can't replace this. We already have one. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we only have one earth and we have to look after it. I want to equip you today with the tools to understand what's going on and so that you can explain climate change to people and the things that we need to do. So this is 2070, but we can avoid this future. We really can. So I'm going to get back in my DeLorean. I want to go back to 2020 because I want to help you guys, okay? So I'm going to put my glasses back on. We're going to get back in the car. Okay? 50 miles, 60, 70, 88. Come on, are you ready? 88 miles an hour, 1.21 gigawatts. Ah! And we're back. Hi guys, I'm back. We're back in 2020. My God, I went to 2070 and it was scary. Climate change had a big impact, but we are going to try and understand what's going on, okay? We're going to help you out. So, here is something really important, the science of it. There's something called the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect. And I'll tell you why this is really important for us. So some of you may have heard it in science. Some of you may have heard this in science. It's called the greenhouse effect. So, what the greenhouse effect is, let me move back. I moved too far forward, hold on. The greenhouse effect is when you have the sun's rays, so this is the sun's rays, that's the sun, yeah? The sun's rays coming down towards the earth, they hit the earth's surface, and they deflect back up, and they get caught in our atmosphere because of things like greenhouse gases, and they reflect back. And things like greenhouse gases and carbon dioxide, they do occur naturally. And they are essential. We need them to survive on our planet. Plants require carbon dioxide. But here's the issue. Here's the issue that we need to learn. Greenhouse effect means that if there are lots of carbon dioxide, lots of these greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, it means we're trapping more and more heat. And that means the temperature will rise. The temperature will rise. And that is essentially, the greenhouse effect is one of the most basic fundamental principles we need to understand. It's almost like, in a greenhouse, it can feel really hot because the light comes through and then reflects off the glass and stays in. And that's what greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide do. They do the same thing. They make sure that the heat gets reflected back, warming up the surface of the earth. And that's called the greenhouse effect. So, I am a maths teacher. You know that. I love maths and numbers. So I'm going to talk to you about two things that give us evidence. Because as a mathematician, we need evidence about why climate change is happening. We need evidence. So, what's happened is that in the last century and a half, the world is industrialized. In 1850, there weren't huge cities, there weren't railways in the same way, there weren't aeroplanes. But what's happened is the world is industrialized. Cities have grown. We've got large-scale agriculture. Greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, this is amazing or saddening, have risen to levels that we haven't seen in 3 million years. Can you believe that? Greenhouse gases are at levels that we haven't seen for 3 million years. And as our economies grow, and our standards of living and what we demand grows, actually the greenhouse gases will start to rise. The emissions, they're going to start to rise. And it causes impacts and devastation. So there's two things that I want to show you about the numbers. One is, so again, if you are on Instagram, on my YouTube and my Facebook at Bobby_Seagull, and it's on the Home Festival one, you can see the graphs. So Francesca, you can see the graphs there. But if you look, this is a chart that shows temperatures. And what's happened is that temperatures have started going up. And that is a indisputable fact. No one can disagree. Temperatures have started going up. And the other thing that we've seen is Arctic sea ice has started coming down. Arctic sea ice. And this is scary. And I'll tell you why for two reasons. One, as the temperature goes up, it means that the air in the atmosphere is warmer. And do you know what this causes? This causes the randomness, the extreme randomness in our weather patterns. We have droughts and floods at the same time because our weather system can't cope. And then with the Arctic ice, if you've ever taken an ice cube and seen it melt, like I'm trying to think, if I go to McDonald's is not healthy, or Burger King, any other store, and you have an ice cube in there, and when it starts to melt, do you notice that the water level rises? The same thing with our seas. Because of global warming, because of higher greenhouse emissions, we see our seas rising. And do you know what happens when our seas rise? It threatens people who live on the coast, whether you're in the Netherlands or Bangladesh or the Pacific Islands. Your homes and livelihoods are at risk. It can cause devastation. And the temperatures, they cause problems too. We already saw in the news in January, the Australian wildfires. Again, these things happen. But the temperature rise means that these things are more likely to happen. They're more likely to happen. And let me tell you one thing. There are some people out there that'll be like, oh, there's no climate change. It doesn't exist. These are just natural fluctuations. Things go up and down. They say that. But I'll tell you what. More than 97%, it's like almost like 97, 98% of scientists, so these are people trained to understand the world, believe that climate change is true. And they have facts and evidence so much to show this. So if anyone ever says climate change isn't true, they're not even just being silly, they're just making up something. They're just complete deniers. Climate change is happening today, but we can do something together about this. So this is something my Instagram friends can't quite see. But I want to show you something here about the maths. So, climate change is a geography topic because it's about our world and our understanding. And on YouTube and on Facebook you can see this, and on Twitter you can see the graph. But climate change, we can use mathematical models, really complicated modelling. And some of the modelling here is from A-level maths, university maths. So when people say to me in my lesson, Mr. Seagull, what's the point of maths? And I'll say, maths, not only does it help us understand things like coronavirus, but for climate change, we use it to develop models to understand what the impact of increased carbon emissions, what happens with temperature rises. So mathematics is such a powerful tool. It helps you in your day-to-day life, whether it's cooking, going shopping, working discounts, or if you're OT and Karen or Katya and you're doing your dancing and you're counting the steps. But it can also help us with understanding our world and climate change. So you can see there on my YouTube and Facebook some of the complex modeling required by scientists. So I'm gonna Instagram. I'm gonna have to tell you. I'm gonna maybe show you what this is. So last February I was on BBC, and I often do newspaper reviews on what's going on in the world. And last February, one of the stories that took my attention was a story about a little girl. So this girl was 15 years old, and in May 2017 she'd won an essay competition about climate change in a local newspaper. And then in August 2018 she went outside her Swedish parliament and she had this sign here which says, if I can read Swedish, "Skolsträckt för klimatet." I can't read Swedish very well, so if you can, please do correct me. "Skolsträckt för klimatet." And this means school strike for climate. And you can probably guess which person did this. And I can see Charlotte telling me. Charlotte, you're correct, well done. And I'm going to show you now. So Instagram, I'm going to put a video up. I'll describe the video to you.
By the way, tell us a little bit about this. The Head Teachers Union applauding a planned strike by school pupils, some of whom are planning to walk out of lessons on Friday over climate change.
Yeah, so this story actually starts back in August, where there's a Swedish 16-year-old called Greta Thunberg, and she had a lone strike outside Parliament in Sweden. And since then, this movement of young people voicing their concerns about the environment has grown. So they had 15,000 children in Australia doing it, I think a couple of thousand in Brussels. So now students in the UK think actually it's our time to make our voice heard about environmental concerns.
By the way, tell us a little bit about this. The Head Teachers Union applauding a planned strike by school pupils, some of whom are planning to walk out of lessons on Friday over climate change.
Yeah, so this story...
So, that's what I talked about climate change. And someone here has made a comment about, oh, climate change isn't exciting. Climate change is the thing that's going to be the defining story of our lives. For us, our children, our grandchildren to come. Climate change is so important. So, who is Greta? And I'll tell you about Greta. So Greta went with this board that said "Skolsträckt för klimatet," and it's about school strike for climate. And you know what she did? Every Friday she would go outside Parliament, sitting there cross-legged and actually trying to get attention from people, saying we need to tackle climate change. And this is what's amazing. She inspired so many people. Of course, we as individuals can do one thing, but can you inspire others? And she inspired something called #Fridays for Future. So every Friday, she said we should all go and protest because the governments are not taking us seriously. And then by December 2018, she had 20,000 students who joined her in this global movement. And what she wanted was, she wanted big governments and businesses to cut carbon emissions. Because you know, before we talked about the greenhouse effect, how sunlight and heat gets trapped in the atmosphere because of increased greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide. Well, she said we need to talk to governments and businesses to cut our carbon emissions. Well, I'll tell you one thing about Greta. Greta also has a great sense of humour. So we know Donald Trump, I'm not going to discuss Donald Trump here today, but Donald Trump wasn't a fan of Greta because Greta is all about cutting climate change, reducing it, and emissions. So Donald Trump said on Twitter, Greta must work on her anger management problem. And Greta, being smart and really funny, she changed her Twitter bio to say, I'm working on my anger management. So Greta, as well as being inspirational, she's got a great sense of humour. So thank you, Greta, for that. So, it's now time for a little dance. We've got about 12-30 minutes. I always love doing a dance. Again, I'm not good at dancing, but I use my growth mindset to try and create a dance. So let's have a look. So you guys on Instagram have to follow me. YouTube, again, YouTube and Facebook, they can see the actual video of the dance. So let me show you a video of the dance.
By the way, tell us a little bit.
So it's going to be like this. Together, forever and ever, our water, land and the air, this our planet. Let's try it again. Go that one, 2, dun, 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 dun. Earth, we're in it together, forever and ever. Bring our water, land and air. This is our planet to share. So one more time, and we'll come back to it like that. Earth, we're in it together, forever and ever. Living our water, land and air. This is our planet to share. So that dance goes on. We'll come back to the dance. But if you've got a video of that dance, please send it to me. I know Francesca always does. We'll come back to the dance at the end. And again, I need some dance tips. So Katya, Oti, Karen, please help me out. I need some dance tips. So, that was an earth dance. We'll come back to it. So, this is the question. What can we do? Because we've seen in the world, the impacts of climate change are rising temperatures. We've seen that. The mathematics, the graphs shows that. Francesca, we're going to come back to the dance again, yeah? We'll come back to the dance again, so don't worry. At the end, we're going to spend a couple of minutes going through it. Increasing temperatures. Then we have Arctic ice levels melting. Arctic ice levels melting, and that's dangerous. So what can we do as individuals? There are a few tips I've got there. So first one is use energy wisely. It's a limited resource. So in your house, if you're leaving the front room, switch off the telly. When you're boiling the kettle, no need to put an entire jug of water. Or even things like water. Don't leave the tap running when you're brushing your teeth. So use your energy wisely. The second one is about renewable energy. So this is not necessarily us, but it's more society. So think about, we should be encouraging our governments, our businesses to use more renewables. And longer term, things like electric cars are going to be really powerful. Third one is about what you eat. So think, again, I'll be honest, I like my McDonald's, I like my burgers, but things like meat and burgers, especially if they're imported, they require lots of energy. Because animals need lots of land, they consume lots of food, they also release carbon dioxide. Sorry, here's a funny fact, cows do fart a lot. They release gases into the atmosphere contributing towards CO2 emissions. So think about what you eat. Is it locally produced? Is it locally sourced? Of course, we can't always do that, but do think about where are we eating food from? Where are we consuming it from? Do I need to eat? Again, I like my meat, but things like meat production do cause strain and stress on our planet. Tip number 4. How do you get to work or school? And again, sometimes we do have to drive. We've got to take things that are practical to us. But can you get the train somewhere? Can you cycle? Can you walk? Can you use methods of getting to work or school that are environmentally friendly? Number 5, recycle, reuse, and thank you Katya, upcycle. So recycle is make sure things like paper, cardboard, tins that you're recycling constantly, because we want to make sure that we're using our resources wisely. So that's about reusing at the same time. So if you've got clothes and they're not really in great condition, try and use them for something else. And I'll tell you what, our friend Katya Jones, she is the queen of upcycling. So thank you Katya for upcycling, because you are practicing and preaching how to look after environment and be fashionable and cool at the same time. So thank you Katya. So there are 5 tips. Number 6 and 7 are related. So number 6 is, why not join movements on the internet, on YouTube, on Instagram? There are lots of movements with young people and adults that can help you to think about the environment. So join movements. And the last one is one more for parents and adults, but also young people. You should think about it. Do you know how we get governments and businesses to think about things and change? We need to get political. We have to vote. We have to use our voices. Because the reality of the world is, I could sit here talking to you and saying, you know, we need to do something about climate change. But if we don't, each of us, try and do something by lobbying our ministers, by talking about it loudly, by convincing others to change their habits, nothing happens. So we need to get political. So here are the 7 things I said we can do. 1, use energy wisely. Don't just leave that tap on. Renewables. Think about our society and how we're trying to become less dependent on fossil fuels, things that release gases. Then the next one is about what we eat. try and eat more locally produced things rather than always depending on things that are imported, because we want to reduce the carbon footprint of where things are flown in from. 4 is, how do you get to work or school? Try and get through in an environmentally friendly way. Cycle, perhaps take the train or car share. Number 5, reduce, reuse, recycle. Thank you, Francesca, for that one. And also, catch this thing of upcycling, making ties into cool things. Number 6 and 7 are join movements, get active, and be politically aware of how your vote can influence our environment. So these are the 6 things. We've got about another 5-6 minutes, and we are going to do the dance again, so don't worry. So your homework for this week, do, draw, or dance. There's 3 things. So do is, can you create a climate change poster like Greta did? So create a climate change poster. Again, probably in English, yeah? But this one says, school strike for climate in Swedish. You'll do your homework. Or the second one is, draw a poster. So we've got the do. The draw is a poster of what have you learned today. So 3 things you've learned today. Or number 3, the dance. Send me a video of your earth dance or a picture, and I'm going to redo the dance. Thank you, Till Mocha, saying I'm a great teacher. I love teaching people because I think education is the greatest tool that we have, whether it's through dancing, maths, geography, to pass on our knowledge and skills to the next generation. OT, Karen, Katya, they do that, and I do that in my own way. Everyone does it. We're trying to pass on our knowledge so that you young people are the ones that will look after this earth for us. So you've got 3 homeworks. So do, draw, or dance, and the best ones I will shout out next week for you. So it's time for our quiz. Quiz time with Mr. Seagull. It's quiz time. Are you ready? Are you ready, boys and girls? 3 questions for you. 3 questions. Thank you, Charlotte, saying I'm an inspiration. Thank you, Francesca. 3 questions. So here we go. Are you ready? Ready? No cheating. Gotta use your brains. Okay, 3 questions about today's session. So the first question is, what is the name of the effect that traps the sun's heat? What is the name of the effect that traps the sun's heat? That's question number 1. Question number 2. Name 1 impact of climate change. Name 1 impact of climate change. Thank you. I've got a couple of answers. And number 3, what does Greta's Skolstrekt for klimatet mean? What does Skolstrekt for klimatet mean? So hope you had time to think. Mr. Seagull needs your answers for these. Okay, let's see what the answers are. So number 1 was the greenhouse effect. So I've got a few answers on Instagram. Thank you, Darian. Impact of climate change. Suzanne says, and Oscar says flooding. Francesca, you got greenhouse effect as well. Charlotte says melting the ice caps. That's correct. Thank you, Sarah. You got the correct answer. And then Darian also says Skolstrekt for klimatet means school strike for climate. So there are your 3 basic bits today. So thank you. Well done for contributing. And again, Facebook, I will double check how I can see your contributions to my session. I'll respond later on Facebook to you. Thank you. So the thoughts of Mr. Seagull today are quite brief. So again, take a step back, have a deep breath. Take a deep breath for me, yeah? And breathe out, because we've had quite excitement. Take a deep breath again. Center yourself, feel the oxygen running in, and breathe out. So my thought today is about the butterfly effect. It's about the butterfly effect. So the story is, if a butterfly flaps its wings in the Amazon, it could lead to a tornado in Texas through a series of events. And that's how climate change can happen. Small events, small things like us leaving the tap on or driving unnecessarily, all these things can add up. And what I'm saying is that we can't all be Greta. Greta is inspirational, a world figure, someone that's really inspiring us. But what we can do is our own butterfly effect. We can inspire other people around us, whether it's inspiring your brother, your sister, your nan, your carer, your mum, your dad, your uncle, your teacher. If you inspire one person, that person can go on to inspire someone else. So think about your personal impact, your own butterfly effect. Can you influence other people to think positively about the climate? And if you do that, I think this world, in 2070, we're going to be in much better shape. So, before we end up on the dance again, a couple of announcements. One, on Saturday, I'm running a family-friendly quiz for NHS. So I love quizzing. I was on the quiz show. I was a captain of Emmanuel College, Cambridge on University Challenge. And I also won recently. I won Celebrity Mastermind, my lovely little trophy in my bookstop. So I'm doing a family quiz on Saturday. And don't be scared. People have gone, oh my God, it's a Bobby Seagull quiz. It's going to be hard. It's going to be fun. I'm going to have questions on primary school, questions on charades. I'm going to do charades. I'm going to do a music round, pictures round. It's going to be awesome fun. 5 o'clock on Saturday, Home Festival. Please join me for my quiz. So what do we have today before our final dance? So we've got OT and Marius dance class straight after the 11:30. So after you're done with this, go and join OT and Marius because they're wonderful. Then at 12:15, Katya's doing upcycling, and that's perfect timing. We've learned about reduce, reuse, recycle. So go to Katya's class. So Katya, I'm going to look forward to doing that as well. Then at 3 o'clock, we've got Bryony Blake's makeup tutorial. So Bryony, I need some help about my, I don't know, I need my eyebrows threaded, I think. I need them threaded. Then we have stretch and flow at 6 o'clock. Karen, make sure that you... And Karen, I love seeing your dogs and how they try to get involved. Then at 7 o'clock, Emma Barton, the wonderful Emma Barton, reading Matilda really beautifully. Then James Bennett at 7:30, musical theatre. Awesome. And then 8:15, our isolation quizmaster Neil. So Neil, my dad and myself, last week we got one wrong. We're going to be back. We're going to be back for your quiz. So that's happening tonight. So now we're going to go back to our dance because remember your homework. Remember, I'm at Bobby_Seagull. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm pretty much everywhere. I'm LinkedIn. And I'd love to see some of your ideas, some of your homework. Remember your do, draw, dance. So do is create your own poster like Greta, or draw is poster of things you learned today, the 3 things, or the dance. So we're going to finish on the dance today. Let's have a look. Climate change dance. It goes like this. You finish on that. Earth! We're in it together. Forever and ever. In our water, land and air. This is our planet to share. Come on, do this. Earth! We're in it together. Forever and ever. In our water, land and air. This is our planet to share. One more time, we'll end on this as well. I love this song. Boom, boom, Earth. We're in it together. Forever and ever. Living our water, land and air. This is our planet to share. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful class. You got OT and Marius next. So I'm Bobby Seagull, at Bobby_Seagull on all the social media. Please let me know how you're doing and send me your homework and I'll give you a shout out in the next class. Like I think it's Uma, Oscar and Francesca who've all been brilliant. I'm a West Ham fan. So thank you all so much. And remember Katya's class at 12:15 is about upcycling, which is so related to this. We can save our planet. Remember in 2017 when I went on that journey, our planet looks endangered. We can change that. All of us can change that. Thank you so much. And see you soon. On Saturday, 5 o'clock, my quiz. Saturday, 5 o'clock. I'll see you there for the family-friendly quiz. Thank you all so much.